Good morning, Year 10s. The topic for today is balancing equations, and I'm hoping I can teach this to you over video. So what this really means is that because matter is conserved, because what goes into the reaction is the same, all the same atoms are there afterwards, we have to make sure that when we've got a new product being created, like for example, zinc chloride, that what we're putting in is what's coming out. You can see from this that you've got a chlorine over this side and you've got two of them over this side. So already you can see that I needed to have two of them to start with, right? So I'll just go through the process and hopefully we can make some sense of this. Now, last term, we did this thing where we wrote down exactly what's in there. So we're going to do that this time. I'll just pause this. I'll do that for you, and then you can see what I want you to do. So I hope you remember when we did this last term, you wrote down underneath everything that's in each of those molecules. So you've got a zinc, that's got one zinc atom in it. You've got hydrochloric acid, it's got a H and a Cl. Your zinc over here has got a Zn and it's got two Cls. That's what the 2 is all about. And here you've got H2, so you've got a H and you've got another H. So you've got a list of all the atoms that are in each of these molecules on each side of the equation. You know, and just to remind you, you know, for example, zinc, it's got a capital Z and a lowercase n. So when you see a capital C, you know you're looking at a new element. You've got periodic tables. So all of this stuff you should be able to figure out from there. Now, once you've done that, you need to just like tick off and say, okay, I've got a zinc over this side and a zinc over this side. I've got a hydrogen here and a hydrogen here. I've got a chlorine here and a chlorine here. But on this side of the equation, we've got an extra chlorine and an extra hydrogen that is not on the left. So we need to, you can't take anything away, you can only add. So to make this balance, to make sure you've got the same atoms on the left as you do on the right, we need to add some more hydrochloric acid on this side. Now, when I make my list, there's another H and another Cl. That 2 that comes before the molecule tells you there's 2 of those molecules. There's 2 HCl molecules. So now I can continue with my ticking off. I can go, oh, now I've got a hydrogen here and a hydrogen here and a chlorine here and a chlorine here. So now this equation is balanced with the 2 that I've put in front of the hydrochloric acid there. So that way, if I was to mix these things together, I would know that I need a certain amount of zinc and I need twice that amount of hydrochloric acid for the reaction to take place. And I know that I'm going to get 1 batch of zinc chloride and 1 of hydrogen. There is a special name for those things. It's called moles. But if we were just talking in atoms, I would have 1 atom of zinc, 2 molecules of hydrochloric acid. I would get 1 molecule of zinc chloride out of that and 1 molecule of H2 out of that. So that's the way I want you to balance the equations. I'll have a go at one of the other ones. So that's the first one where it says, are these equations balanced or aren't they? And if they're not, I want you to balance them. You will need to do this on lined paper. There is no way that you can get this stuff on the worksheet and have it neat enough that you can see what you're doing. Write the equation out on lined paper and write this stuff underneath. It's important that you can do this so that we can do the next step. Okay, here's another one. I think it's number 18 on one of those sets of questions I gave you. So it says iron oxide plus carbon gives you carbon monoxide plus iron, right? So if I put in some iron oxide and some carbon, I'm going to get some carbon monoxide and some iron being produced. But I don't know how much of everything I need to put in to make this reaction complete. So now we're going to do exactly what we did before, write down what's in there, and then figure out what we need to add to make it balance. Okay, you've got your list. I'm going to tick off one of those ions. I'm going to tick off a carbon from here and from here. Oh, they're nicely balanced. I'm going to tick off an oxygen from here and from here. And I can already see this one's going to be a bit tricky. But obviously, I've got iron going in on the left. I'm going to need more on the right. So I'm going to need to have 2 ions coming out there. Now, sometimes you write the numbers and then you rub them out again, which I think we might be doing here. So now I've just put another ion in, so I can tick that off. Oh, that's looking good. I need some more oxygens. And on the right-hand side, the only way to do that is to put a number in front of the carbon monoxide. So I need 2 more, so I'm going to have 3 of these. So there's 1 already there. There's another one. There's another one. But I've also just added some carbons, right? You can only add, you can't take away. So you feel like it's unbalancing the carbons on the other side, but let's just have a go. We'll tick off the oxygens. Tick off the oxygens. Oxygens are all good. Now what you see is that we need some more carbons on the left to balance the carbons we've just put on the right. So we'll get 3 of them. 1 is already there, 2, 3, and now we can match those up. And now that everything's ticked, you can see that it's all balanced. I have got 2 ions on the left and 3 oxygens. I've got 2 ions on the right and 3 oxygens, which are here. I've got 3 carbons on the left. I've got 3 carbons on the right. So I know that if I put 1 molecule of iron oxide and 3 molecules of carbon into a test tube, I'm going to come out with 3 molecules of carbon dioxide and 2 molecules of iron. I won't have stuff left over. And I won't have things that don't react because there's not enough of them. Okay. I want you to do that with all of those questions that I've given you. It's important that you can do that before we do the next thing. Now, there's an activity that we're going to do this week, and I will put the worksheet up on Sector so you can have a look at it. It's figuring out, it's predicting the products of a reaction. So remember, the products are these ones over this side. These are the things being produced, and the reactants are these ones, and they're the things that are reacting. I'll just write that there for you. Products, reactants. You do need to know that because you'll probably have those words thrown at you in a test question. Reactants, and you'll be expected to know which is which. Okay, products are the things that are produced, reactants are the things that react. Have a go at balancing some equations. Make sure you have a go at it because you're going to need to be able to do this before you can work on the next thing. If you finish, go back to the textbook and have a go through that chemistry chapters because they're really useful for you, and I will try to be there next time for your next lesson. Okay, have fun.